We'll start with Tamanna from Triple Whale. Triple Whale sits on one of the largest data sets in D2C. They just analyzed the full picture of Black Friday, Cyber Monday performance. So Tamanna is going to share the key insights for brands should take into 2026 and where the strategic opportunities really lie. That will set the context before we go into the other specific cases. So Tamanna, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Sweet. All right. Well, Maestra, again, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to be here. So let me just dive right in. Now, e-commerce brands today, they are drowning in data, but they're starving for insights that drive real action. And honestly, that is where Triple Whale comes in. So Triple Whale is the e-commerce intelligence platform built for faster and more confident decisions. And I think you might know that most analytics platforms are probably telling you what's happening, but at Triple Whale, we actually help you understand why and more importantly, what to do next. And at Triple Whale, we're not just another data tool. We're actually the go-to e-commerce intelligence platform for brands that are scaling fast and just need clarity in their decision making. We're actually the proud source of truth for over 50,000 plus brands. And that includes some names that you probably already know: Calpac, MeUndies, Peloton, Culture Kings, and so many more. And if you're wondering what that looks like, oh,
Sim link
uh,
and for minus.
if you're wondering what that looks like in action, we actually have a full section of case studies on our website,
Hello.
which I encourage you to check out. All right, now I'm going to walk through a fast recap of BFCM 2025, along with some actionable tips and tricks to succeed for the remainder of 2025 and into 2026. And just for everyone here today, we're actually going to close with an exclusive free offer, so please stick around for it. Now, BFCM is truly a speed game, and the brands that performed best made fast, data-driven calls in real time, not days later. So AI really helped them get the insights instantly, monitor every channel in one view, automate the busy work, and spot trends early so they could shift budgets and inventory before competitors did. Now, during BFCM, like I said, speed really matters, and there isn't time to bounce between reports and dashboards. And that's why we created Mobi AI. So you can just ask a quick, plain English question, and you will get an instant data-backed answer on what to scale, what to cut, or what to change. So it's really the fastest way to turn your data into decisions when every minute, honestly, every second counts. So that leads me to tip number one, embracing AI, because AI is not optional anymore. You can use it to personalize recommendations, segment customers in real time, optimize budgets for profit, and even generate fresh creative faster. Now, emerging brands in the $0 to $1 million space still drive most of their BFCM revenue from new customers, around 66%. But as brands scale, returning customers actually take over. So brands that are 10 million plus get about 55% of BFCM revenue from existing buyers. So BFCM isn't just for acquisition. You can actually lean into loyal audiences to generate big revenue at lower cost by reactivating them through your cheapest owned channels. So that's my tip number two. Prioritize post BFCM retention. Now, BFCM is really the start, and then 2026 growth is going to come from your repeat buyers. So what you can do is boost loyalty, use predictive analytics to find high LTV shoppers, and then segment new buyers smartly. From there, you can actually run life cycle flows to grow LTV without more paid spend. Now, nearly 70% of BFCM ad dollars went to Meta, making it the clear primary growth lever. And Google Ads was the number two channel at 22.65%, reinforcing how brands paired social discovery with search conversions. So what does that mean for you? Well, tip number three, diversify your ad platforms. So brands are relying a bit less on Meta and Google year over year, and honestly, that is a smart move. With CPMs rising on the big two and efficiency flattening, putting all your spend in one place just gets riskier and more expensive. So instead, build a mix. Keep Meta and Google as your core drivers, but then test and scale emerging channels like TikTok and Accent by AppLovin, where costs can actually be lower and the returns can be stronger. And the win in 2026 is just a balanced portfolio that protects performance and unlocks new pockets of growth. So for 2026, what this means for you is that Meta stays the core scale channel. Google captures high intent search buyers. Amazon wins more budget as marketplace demand grows, and TikTok really pulls growth spend with cheaper entry costs. Now, looking at BFCM 2025, it was led by apparel and health and beauty. So together driving about $1.7 billion or 59% of total revenue. Now, these categories keep winning because holiday demand is reliable and high intent. So to stay efficient in 2026, you can really lean into retention, raise your AOV with bundles, diversify beyond Meta and Google, and build own channels like email and SMS to lower reliance on your paid socials. Now, I want to also highlight post-purchase surveys because this shows where your customers actually discovered your brand. So Meta really leads recall. Facebook and Instagram together are about 47%, and word of mouth is at number three at about 17%. So it's a reminder that memory doesn't always match your last click, meaning that by using survey data to actually close attribution gaps, see the full journey, and pull direct product feedback, your 2026 budget and messaging will reflect real customer behavior. Now, survey responses can be a gold mine of feedback directly from your customer's mouth that you can use to improve your product or even your processes. So, to summarize, AI is now the baseline for winning BFCM and beyond. BFCM growth doesn't end on Cyber Monday. Channel strategies are shifting to efficiency, not just habit. Customer mix changes as brands scale, and using clear measurement to invest smarter is what's going to help you win next year. Now, before AI can drive action, you guys need a strong data foundation, which is why we are offering our platform completely free to attendees today. Now, I'm going to drop the link in the chat along with my email and my LinkedIn. So please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I really look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you so much. That was also 7 minutes on the dot. Perfect. So I don't know how you did that. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, feel free to either throw it in the chat or if you want to even unmute right now and ask a quick question, feel free to.
And even if questions come up later, you have my contact details. Please feel free to reach out. You can either reach me by email or LinkedIn.
There aren't any. I do have one. So brands just gained, hopefully, a ton of Black Friday, Cyber Monday customers. And they obviously we want them to come back and purchase again before the next Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. So you mentioned loyalty programs, surveys, lifecycle flows. It's obviously a lot to get through, and Christmas is now. So if you had to focus on just one or two things, what would they be?
Oh, I would definitely focus on like bundles. I think bundles and just like ways to personalize the customer journey to increase your AOV it will have like an exponential effect on your bottom line because even those like small little just like increasing each sale by $5, by $10, that will have such a huge influence at the end of the year. So, for example, like if you wanted to increase your shipping threshold, even by $10, that will automatically help you guys increase your AOV and in turn just make more profit before the end of the year. I remember like when I used to work at Rebuy and having even just a tiered progress bar. If you spend this much, you get a free hat. If you spend this much, you get free shipping. If you spend this much, and they will give you free samples or something like that. And all of those little things had increased a lot of different brands' AOV and just increased their revenue at the end of the year.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now we're going to have
Can I
Kyle
ask
from Furniture. Oh,
a
go ahead.
short question too? Yeah, is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Tamanna, you mentioned that it's time to prioritize retention over acquisition, but do you have any data like do brands actually use this strategy right now? And maybe like do you have any data showing who's winning brands that focus on acquisition or retention?
Yeah, good question. I think just like the landscape has become so saturated and you're up again against more competition than ever before. And as a consumer, cost is becoming such a big thing that if two or three companies are selling the same product, the chance of them buying something that's the identical product but a little cheaper is going to be higher. So we do actually have some, we publish a lot of different papers and a lot of different reports on our end at Triple Whale. We have a lot of data. And so there was actually a report that came out that said customers will either purchase something that is of just a lower price tag unless they are a loyal shopper. And if they're a loyal shopper, that is one of the biggest plays that that merchants can take on this year to target those customers who may, they have so many options at their disposal, but if they're having a more personalized shopping journey, or there's like some kind of loyalty program in place, or they're getting like targeted ads directly to them because they're a loyal customer, that's how you can win this year.
Yeah,
I
great,
think
thanks.
shoppers are very similar to each of us. We all just want to feel a little bit special, you know? And so
Totally.
that's what we just need to work on for the shoppers.
Yep.
All right, thank you so much. So we're going to jump right into our next speaker. You can stop sharing your screen now, Tamana. We have Kyle from Furniture Fair. So he's got 20 plus years as a retail operator who's worked with high ticket, low frequency purchases. I think that's a whole different beast on its own. So Kyle's going to go ahead, share if you want to share your screen and jump right into it.
Howdy, everyone. Can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
All right. Well, as promised, I'm here to talk about product recommendations. So, again, I'm Kyle Cannon. I've been here at Furniture Fair for not quite 20 years. I've been here 19. So I'll be passing that hump real soon. But I'm a digital marketing manager, so I spent a lot of time on our digital advertising. Furniture Fair is family owned and operated since 1963. Got its start in the Cincinnati, Ohio area, and we've expanded throughout Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. So looking at that 21% year over year online revenue growth, how did I achieve that? The first thing I'm going to touch on is dynamic product ads. So in the past, when I would dynamically insert products into email campaigns, it would typically pull the image from the website, and I would often hide the price because once that price changed, that email was out of date. People would bring in old emails with the old price, and they'd want that price. And so we'd typically just say, check today's price and take them to the product page on the website. We thought we could do better than that. So we created these product cards where it's pulling in the image from the website, and then it's utilizing product tags to highlight special features and whatnot that we're trying to call out for the product. Like some of them you're seeing are outlet, hot buy, clearance. We've got made in USA. For dining furniture, bedroom, we've got solid wood. So we're displaying on the image card as well the product name. We will also show the variant title right there in the top left corner where Furniture Fair is. And then we show the price, and the price is always updated dynamically so it's in sync with the website. So if a customer opens up that email, reloads it, the price that's shown in there is going to reflect the current price on the website. And so I've been utilizing those in email campaigns, but I've also pushed those into my Facebook product catalog. And so once my product ads received this new look, I noticed a big jump in revenue attributed to our Facebook ads for year over year. So far for this year, I've seen a 64% increase in revenue attributed to the ads I'm running on Facebook. So expanding on that, we've got the updated look. So at Furniture Fair, a majority of our sales happen in our stores. So whenever working on the website, I'm trying to be mindful of the in-store shopping experience. And I've chosen this product to show you as an example because it's a photo from our showroom floor. So we want the customer to easily be able to find the items that they see on our showroom floor, also while shopping on the website. Our buyers and merchandising team have all worked together to create a cohesive look for that sofa sitting on our floor. They bought specific accent pieces to go with it, whether it's the rug, the cocktail table, the wall art. So we want to show those kinds of items that the customer might have seen in store. We want to show those first in the product recommendations. These particular items would show under how to style it because we want to help the customer style the sofa and help them design their whole room. So the same products that you're seeing on the floor with that sofa, you're seeing on the website in product recommendations. And then we've got a few fallback algorithms in case we haven't done the tagging required to display those items. Other product recommendations we have, such as the standard also in this collection, similar products, for products, and this was one of those big problems that emerged from COVID that isn't quite as much of a problem these days. But if there's a product that is not currently in stock and it's on order and it's over 2 weeks out, you might want your furniture sooner. So we've got some similar product options that are available sooner on the website to see people. So through the various product recommendations that we have on the website, I've seen a 46% jump in people adding products to the cart, which is pushing people through the funnel. And I'm seeing an increase in purchases and revenue on the website. So really happy with how that's going. Just to wrap it up, the post-purchase flow. So after someone does buy from us, we want to get those product recommendations in front of them. So for example, someone could have bought this popular basic wool sofa. And like you maybe have seen it on the showroom floor, you might have also noticed it under how to style it. We call that the tag a family code. So you see same family products, which would be, again, the rugs, the accent tables, the lamps, mirrors, wall art, all that stuff that we want to go with that sofa. We're going to display it to the customer in a post-purchase email reminding them of the style that they saw on the showroom floor and how they can recreate that style in their home. And we also follow up and show those same collection items like, hey, you bought the sofa. Hey, check out, remember the love seats here. We've also got some pretty cool matching chair, or it could be the storage ottoman or something like that. So just putting those products right back in front of the customer. We haven't been running that campaign for long, but with just 1 month of running it, we saw $26,000 in revenue attributed to that post-purchase email. So pretty happy with the results so far. And that's really my 3 tips and how I've reached 21% online revenue growth here at Furniture Fair. Any questions, comments?
We have one question in the chat. So we have John Davis says, Kyle, I also work in a low converting big ticket item industry, musical instrument sales. So what's your cadence for when those post-purchase messages go out? Growing retention has been a really big goal.
So it's currently in test mode, but typically a few days after delivery is when the first one will go out with another break of a few days before we send the other campaign.
Great. And then we do have another question. So for high ticket items like furniture, customers don't buy it very often. So how do you handle the issue of having cold starts? So there's no purchase data from that user because they need to get started. What would you recommend there?
Well, we've got a lot of content on our website. We've got a learning center that we created to help answer the most common questions and hang-ups that our customers have. So we utilize that content to nurture the customer experience. So if we mark them down as being interested in specific items, whether in store or online, we're passing that into the system. And we've got flows built out that will not just recommend products, but more recommend educational content pieces that might help influence their decision, like educating them on the quality of our better goods or the custom order options that are available.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think there's also some similarities with what Tamanna and you also just reviewed. I mean, she mentioned bundles being a huge piece and increasing AOV. So I think that goes right into the product recommendations and having those different, A/B testing different formats, whether just be, frequently bought together. You mentioned using a mix of a manual, I guess something that's a little bit more manual selection, but then also having dynamic fallback. So it isn't completely static and it isn't only on select products because you have thousands of SKUs. So I think that's definitely a great way to do it, working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Before we jump into our next speaker, we're actually going to take a bit of a selfie break. So if anyone wants to and for us to just take a quick screenshot of the turnout, if anyone wants to quickly turn on their camera and maybe hold their drinks or turn on their festive backgrounds, you can go ahead and do that now. Perfect. I'm going to hold my dinosaur.
1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Okay, and then we can jump into our next speaker. So our third speaker is going to be Ashvin Melwani. So just a quick intro. I know he introduced himself, but co-founder of Obvi at $100 million plus DTC brand. Ashvin will walk us through how he turns large volumes of customer feedback into data-driven creative using AI prompts and the exact small plays that consistently improve revenue.
So, well, excited to be here, guys. So just like Julia mentioned, we have a few ways that we've been leveraging AI to kind of improve our creatives, our landing pages, our funnels, our offers, things that, as like a founder, we think certain ways about how our products are being perceived to consumers, when that may not actually be the truth, right? You might be advertising for one benefit and people are actually buying it for another. So being able to actually understand what's going on in your ecosystem is very important. So before I kick off, real quick, CMO of Obvi, we have a podcast to chew on this, which is all about e-commerce. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. Let's get into it, right? So the first thing that I want to talk about is post-purchase surveys. A lot of people are using this for attribution, right? How did you hear about us? When did you first hear about us? It's such a key moment in the transaction history where as soon as they've placed their order, they're willing to tell you anything, right? So we typically use, an app called No Commerce for this, where we're actually asking questions to understand what could have prevented somebody from buying, understanding what motivated them to buy, understanding what else they were looking at. So, talking about competitor landscape. And then we'll actually extract all of this information and put it towards our creatives, our landing pages, our messaging across the entire ecosystem. So one of the questions that we really like to ask is, what was preventing you from trying Obvi sooner? Okay. Now, we let all of these questions be open-ended, open response, so people can type as much as they want, as little as they want, whatever information that they can give us, we're very happy with. But what this actually helps us with is, offer testing. If price becomes an issue, or if cost is an issue, or maybe something was broken on the website, you'll get an idea from somebody's answers here. But it'll help with objection handling, enhancing our FAQs, different ad angles. This is like super important to understanding, what was that one thing that almost didn't get them to buy, right? And then you kind of get, some of the questions answered around, what's stopping you from hitting your goals, especially with supplements, right? So this will help with ad angles and landing page copy. Again, what are you most excited about after you've achieved your goals? So we can start talking about what the motivations are for our consumers. And then what else have you tried, right? So this allows us to talk about our competitors or other things that they've tried. So real quick, what we do is we use No Commerce. There's a CSV you can download, and we can upload this to AI. And I've actually created a prompt to help you analyze all that data. And I'm sharing that for you with you for free. So scan this QR code, save the document. It's a Google Doc. You can literally copy and paste it into a ChatGPT or a Claude or whatever it is. And, obviously replace the information with your own brand, but this will allow you to extract everything and actually utilize the information. So to the next point, right? This is how we actually use this AI information to actually craft messaging. So before, we used to have very generic, ad copy, right? So it's like, our new collagen has 10 grams of protein. It tastes great. Okay. What we actually found from the AI insights was, what was stopping you from, potentially buying. And somebody said, or a good amount of people said, I'm afraid of the gritty taste, right? Because other proteins have this gritty taste. So we actually attacked the objection directly. And so in our actual ad copy, we're calling it out, right? Worried about gritty collagen. Ours is guaranteed grit free or your money back. So it pretty much attacks the objection head on, right? On the landing page side, our main, headline was lose weight with, obvious collagen. So, one thing that we uncovered was, which was really interesting, very niche, was I want to feel confident in my wedding dress. And so what we ended up doing was we created a subset of ads that were just targeting people who's, had a special event coming up. And we personalized the hero to actually say, feel unstoppably confident on your big day. So it's a little bit more tailored to the consumer versus something a little bit more general. So we were getting these like really interesting insights just because we had customers actually filling out their responses on our post-purchase surveys. And instead of us trying to guess, they're literally telling us what they care about. And then win three, right? So instead of on the creative side, right, we want to shift our ad budget from more generic feature ads like, oh, our collagen does this, this, and this, to more objection driven, right? So it's like, well, I've tried this before. Why is yours better, right? Or I'm currently using X, Y, and Z. Why should I switch to ABC, right? So it allowed us to get our messaging way more dialed in than it ever was before, and this helps reduce our CAC significantly just because we changed the messaging. On the landing pages, this allows us to increase our conversion rate just because it's a little bit more congruent from the ad side down to the landing page side. So people are coming in on certain, messagings or promises that you've given them. You're actually relating that information in a way that they can understand, right? So for example, the wedding dress, well, how does this product specifically prepare me for my special day, right? Instead of just being like, well, Avi does X, Y, and Z. And then faster creative. So a lot of the times our team is trying to figure out what is the next thing that they can test or whatever it is. I can use AI and pull out 5 different angles in literally less than 3 minutes just from extracting customer data. And now our team has a bunch of different messagings to test out, different formats, et cetera, et cetera. And it actually accelerates our creative to market timeline. And so we could test way, way more. So for example, we lowered our CPA by 20% just from adjusting the creative messaging. So, people like the customers that were worried about the gritty taste, we were able to put in a guarantee on these ads that said, guaranteed grit free or your money back. And so our CPA dropped, 18% just by adding in this one call out to that objection. And our click-through rate increased because it was a little bit more specific. An example two, again, we had that one customer that said we wanted to, or she wanted to feel confident on her big day. And so by adding that messaging to our landing pages and sending ads that had that specific messaging on the landing page, we were actually able to increase conversion rate by 35%. And sometimes, adding these very specific call outs and very personalized messaging can even double your conversion rate instead of being very generic and broad. And instead of talking to everybody, you're talking to very specific subsets, and that allows you to increase conversion rate. And then the last thing is we found that people were worried about other collagen brands out there, and we actually didn't have a comparison chart on our website. And so that's one of the biggest features that you need. And so after adding that, after seeing in the answers that people were looking at competitors, our add to cart increased by 19% and our conversion rate increased by 11%. So a lot of these things can reduce your CPA, increase your conversion rate across the board, and increase your marketing efficiency across the board. Thank you. Any questions?
There were a few quick ones. So Gloria did ask what tool you used for the post-purchase survey.
Yeah, so there's a few tools out there. We use No Commerce, KNO Commerce. But there's Fairing, there's Triple Whale, whatever is comfortable for you to use. Definitely check it out and install it ASAP.
Great. And then another question from Andrew. So on the post-purchase data, what do you consider statistical significant feedback that you don't feed AI with outlier data and instead ensure that you're getting consistent signals? Or do you allow AI to decipher that for you?
That's a great question. And in fact, I actually really like the outliers because those are the angles that not a lot of people are going after. So if you have like the grouped messaging is like, oh, I really care, like, oh, I have a bunch of hair loss or whatever it is, like we already know that. Those are the insights that we already know. I'm using AI to actually find the outliers and actually use that to my advantage where everybody else is going after the same stuff. I want to find the unique angles.
So like the wedding dress one that you mentioned, or the special day.
Exactly.
Got it. Thank you so much. I think, again, there's a bit of a common theme across all of them, which is really letting the data tell you what people need and then personalizing, of course. I think even for Kyle, when you mentioned the cold start, it's about educating people on, again, things that we have to find out ahead of time, what the shoppers need to be reaffirmed on. So things like what your brand is going to do or what it is not. So all that essential information and kind of doing it through small context clues so that everyone feels comfortable purchasing.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And here's my prompt for the last second if you guys want to just scan it and grab it. But other than that, thank you for having me.
Leave it up there in case anyone wants to go ahead and grab that. But next, we are going to have Patty and Andrei. Thank you so much, Ashvin. So Andrei is the co-founder of Finsi.ai and the former CTO of Scentbird. Patty is the CEO of Caffeine Legends. So we're going to be going into how Andrei scaled the subscription model to 500,000 paying customers. He'll break down how quiz data can empower segmentation, personalized recommendations, and also VIP mechanics.
All right, thanks for inviting me here. So today we're going to focus on Legendary Box, and I would love Patty first introduce the product and what Caffeine Legend is about.
Yeah, hi everyone. Caffeine Legends is a subscription box, and each month we provide readers with a newly released fantasy book, and they can pick coffee, tea, or chocolate, and it always has a gift item that ties in with the theme of the book or the season. It's a lot of fun. I actually bought the business about a year ago and have been working with Andrei and his partner to add fuel to the fire. And we've done a lot in the last year. It's been really fun.
And it feels like I'm going to read from Tamanna's book about working with existing customers, focusing on retention. And since cost of acquisition is constantly going up, the key here is to focus on customers who are already on the website. So the first thing that we've been working on was how to increase the average order value of people who just came to the website. And the idea that came to mind was to introduce a magic spoon. Patty, can you tell a bit more about this amazing product?
Yeah, previously the site didn't have any sort of gamification or no incentives for people to subscribe to, 3 months or 6 months or this full experience which is another element we'll talk about. And we added, I think we bought it for less than 50 cents, retail values maybe 10, but it shifted, the impact was huge. And that's why we call it the magic little spoon. We send thousands of these out and they seem to make people very happy.
And the interesting part here, so you don't have to come up with crazy ideas when you want to increase the OV. Think about what comes naturally with the product that you send. In this case, since people will be drinking a lot of coffee, a lot of chocolate, they need something to whisk it, and nice looking scoop is always a good product to add. Another thing was around pop-ups, and like we've seen them all everywhere. I have a personal beef with pop-ups that have been executed wrong. And like from the data that we've been seeing from Caffeine Legends, we saw that the existing pop-up was bringing zero revenue, and we decided to change it, and we made it slightly we made it looking like a quiz. So we started asking people what they're interested in and what brought them to the website. And immediately, overnight, the email collection increased by 100%. And as an end game here, we saw the drop in cost of acquisition, blended cost of acquisition by 10% because of email marketing that was happening afterwards. But that was not the biggest impact here. The biggest impact here was the fact that now we're collecting way more emails. And I would love Patty to tell more about what happened with the newly launched product called Romantasy Box and how it was sold out completely in a matter of a couple of days.
Yeah, so we launched our Romantasy box. If you guys aren't in the loop on Romantasy, it has a lot of rabid fans. It's a mashup of romance and fantasy. And we had this idea we were going to launch a quarterly box. We thought maybe we'd have, some people interested. And I think we doubled, at least tripled what we expected, and, sold a few hundred boxes over the Black Friday weekend, mostly through email. We've done minimal ads and we're able to sell out a lot of our one-off seasonal boxes solely through our email channel. So Andrei mentioned it's grown, even that has doubled and tripled over the last year. So it's a really effective channel for us.
And that was not the last thing that we did together. Another amazing launch that happened was the VIP Club. And the idea why the VIP Club happened was when we analyzed the data, we saw a lot of people we saw about 10-15% of all the customers who spend significantly more than others, almost the famous Pareto rule 20-80. So the idea was let them spend more, let them buy more, and let's see what happens. And how does the VIP Club looks like, Patty?
Yeah, it's going really well so far. Like Andrei said, these are our top spenders naturally, and we're now just rewarding them for doing so and giving them a little clubhouse. They get first access to these seasonal one-off boxes. They get voting power on what goes in the boxes. And I think most importantly, they get $10 a month in credit to spend in the store. And so far, it's only been a few months, but those numbers are really encouraging. And obviously, they're spending more than the $10 a month.
And one of the most impressive metrics of the VIP Club that the lifetime value of VIP members is 3 times higher than the average lifetime value of other customers. Plus, they are way more engaged in text messages, so they open almost every message that they get. They click on almost every link that they receive, and that brings a lot of value to the business. So all in all, after 1 year, what happened? The LTV increased by 20%. We're now collecting way more emails. people are spending more money once they are a VIP member. And once we detect that there is a customer who looks like a VIP member, they start getting emails and they're being converted into this membership. And 1 year after the Upeti acquired the business doubled. So kudos to you, Upeti. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered it. But yeah, just, little changes have made a huge impact over the last year. It's been really fun. We use Alia.
Yeah, that was important part. Alia is very great. I would say an industry standard for pop-ups right now.
Yeah, and again, it's sort of like the magic spoon. I don't know why it works, but it really made a big impact.
Mm-hmm. And the way how we did it, a couple works about Finsi. So the way how we do this, we analyze all your data, literally everything you have, including spreadsheets. All of us have spreadsheet that we like. Then we see what could be done about these customers, how to activate them better, how to retain them better. And if retention is on your radar for the next year, we'd love to chat. And with this, it's everything that we had for you today.
Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat or unmute yourself. Do have one. I do have one question. So I saw before when you were talking about the VIP criteria, it looked like you talked about using a mix of lifetime value and also engagement. I guess, is there anything that you would suggest in terms of what criteria you think works the best for defining these VIP segments, whether it be spend thresholds, tenure, engagement? How do you kind of balance that out and choose the right people?
We started with the spend threshold first. So we literally asked the system, who are the people who spend significantly more than others? And the system highlighted, okay, there's a 10% of customers who are big spenders. And then we started to analyze their behavior. And we saw that they are different in almost every angle.
Got it. Okay, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And then last but not least, we have our final speaker, which is going to be John Cairo from CustomersAI. So John specializes in email deliverability and identity signals and works with brands like Skims and Netflix. Today, he'll share what signals standard platforms miss and the small inboxing tactics that have the biggest lift.
Thanks, Juliet. Can you guys see my screen? Am I good to go?
Yep.
Okay, great. So we're talking about a complicated topic. So my goal is to alert you to a problem that it's very likely happening in whatever ESP you use, whether it's Maestra or Klaviyo or Bloomreach or whatever you're using, you very likely have a signals problem. And when I say signals, I'm talking about the visibility you have into your customers' behavior. So people are on your site every day. They come back months later, weeks later, they create behaviors like add to carts and checkouts and view products and they look at collections. And the fact of the matter is you can probably only see about 50% of that behavior. And that's actually a really big problem because that behavior is what you're using as the basis to drive your whole email program, which is potentially the biggest lever you have in your marketing program. So the idea here is, how do we get some of this signal back? There's a spectrum. We're never going to have 100%, but maybe we can get from 50% or below where you might be today to more like 75% or so. So the first win, or the first thing that this really matters for, is your automation. So let's talk about flows, the flows in Klaviyo. In this particular case, we are looking at a checkout started flow. So you're sending emails if somebody starts a checkout and they don't actually buy. Well, you can't, like I said before, you can't actually see all of those checkouts happening. There's issues with cookies and browsers and privacy, a million things get in the way. And when you restore some of that, you restore a whole bunch of revenue. So in this case, the standard business as usual checkout started flow made this customer about 28 grand. over a week. This is over 7 days. But once we restored the signal that they were missing for checkout started, we added an additional $13,000 in revenue. So this is how important getting all of this signal is. And Customers AI can do that for you. But there are also ways you can do this without a tool like Customers AI. You can manage your cookies better. You can be more diligent about privacy signals. And there's a million ways. If you want to talk about all the ways, you can message me, and I love this stuff. I'll talk to you on LinkedIn about it. But this is to show you how important this is. This is a 50% improvement almost in revenue just by managing your data better. This also impacts campaigns, right? With campaigns, you're also using signal, who's engaged, who's been to the site recently, who hasn't been, and you use that information to actually send the emails. In this example, we have a machine learning platform, and we try to predict who's about to buy and who's not interested. And the takeaway here is that the business as usual audience labeled as marketing here, 56,000 emails were sent, and only $6,000 in revenue was made. If you have better signal data, which is the top line, you can send a whole lot less emails. So we're talking about like 20% the emails, and actually still make, in this case, more money than that huge list made. And it improves your deliverability stuff. It improves opens. Long term, you stay out of the spam box. It's really important for performance. So in this case, there's also a knock-on effect to just the billing in your ESP. With Klaviyo, you're paying them to send emails. And if you send less emails that are more efficient in generating revenue, that's a good business decision. And then the last win here is once you're sending emails to the people who are actually engaged, whether it's through an automation or a flow, there's another impediment or barrier to actually converting. And that's most of the emails are landing in the promotions tab. And that promotions tab, as you all know, if you have it activated, it's very likely that you just don't see the email or you give it very little attention. So the last phase of this is actually moving the email from the promotions tab to the primary tab. And there's a bunch of best practices that can help do this. They're obvious things, but if you look at emails that merchants are sending, they're very typically not implemented. So there's some obvious stuff that you can do, like maybe your images are too big, or maybe you're using the wrong language in your title, or it goes on and on. But there's also some proprietary stuff that you can do to make sure that the email lands in the primary inbox. And when you do, like we have a very good example here. We ran an A/B test in Klaviyo, and got a big bump in open rates, got a big bump in click rates, and the revenue went through the roof because people are actually seeing the email. And you can do this no matter the email platform you're using, whether it's Klaviyo or Maestro or whatever. So those are the three big wins. I tried to zip through this. If you're interested in any of this, you can message me on LinkedIn, you can send me an email, or you can visit our site, and that's it.
Great. Thank you so much, Sean. If anyone has any questions, feel free to throw in the chat or unmute yourself. I know you went over a bunch of different things that matter for deliverability outside of the basics of, sender name, image count, things like that. What would you say is the number one most overlooked inboxing tactic that can make a real difference?
God, that's really hard to say. The way that we typically go through this is we test on individual accounts, right? And it doesn't seem to always be the same thing that moves the needle. If you want something sensational, maybe what I would say is the actual email address you're using to send, not necessarily the domain. So let's say you're example.com. I'm not asking you to change from example.com to something else, but the prefix of the email. Like if you're sending from marketing@example.com, oftentimes changing or varying that to like support or inquiries or can have a really big effect if your email deliverability isn't where you want it to be.
I think that's something that I've seen as well for making a switch from some merchants that had the sending email was do not reply and then that definitely did not do well. As soon as we switched it, that definitely made a big difference.
Yeah.
There are a few other questions. So for customers AI, how would you guys differentiate yourself from OpenSend?
I don't know if that's really something I want to go into.
That's
It'd be
fair.
a long conversation, but message me on LinkedIn and we can talk about that.
Great. And then one other question, is there a quick test you think that can be done to figure out how many missed opportunities or, missed signals that there might be happening for abandoned cart, for example, that isn't being captured?
That's a good question. Yes, I think so. What I would do is look whatever ESP you're using, go look at the counts for the add to cart events, and then compare them to potential. If you're on Shopify, compare them to the Shopify add to carts. That's not going to be that great of a comparison. Maybe checkout started might be better if you're on Shopify, but try and find a baseline that you trust. And Shopify, because they're generating the events, should have a good record of what's going on, and then compare it to what you have in your ESP, and you'll see there's like a big differential.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I know we are just about up on time. In the last 5 minutes, I did want to quickly open it up. Thank you to all of our speakers. I think there's a lot that we have to, I think we've learned a lot today and a lot to think about going into the next year or even just to finish out this year. So if there are any last questions, I did just want to open up the floor. If anyone wants to quickly unmute and ask anything directly, feel free to. Yes, there will be a replay. So we are going to send everything that we covered today directly to your email as well. And then again, I know everyone kind of shared contact information and a few exclusive offers as well, if you guys want to reach out to them directly. But we will be following up after the webinar with the documents that we covered today and the replay.